You're overreacting, Chris. Nah, I was underreacting for 30 damn years. A year ago. If you'd told me my own parents would destroy my credit just to help my screw-up of a brother chase clout on TikTok, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. Credit score tanked, family ties cut, and me learning the hard way that blood means jack when people see you as a tool, not a son. Let me back up a bit. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Houston. My folks ran a small but steady auto repair shop, Walker Auto Service. My dad was the kind of guy who never said much unless he was yelling, and my mom lived in her own bubble where Dylan, my younger brother, could do no wrong. Dylan was the golden boy since birth. Blonde, charming, sweet talker, and completely allergic to responsibility. Dude failed algebra 3 years in a row, crashed my dad's truck while high, and still they'd tell everyone he's just finding his way. I, on the other hand, was the reliable one. Translation, will expect everything from you and appreciate none of it. In high school, I busted my ass, worked night shifts at a diner, saved for community college, fixed up junkyard laptops so I could learn how to code. I stayed out of trouble. I did what I was supposed to do. And what did I get? Lectures if I got a B. Guilt trips if I missed Sunday dinner because I was working late. Meanwhile, Dylan, he dropped out at 17 to start a brand. No one knew what the brand was, but he got a new ring light, and my parents told everyone he was entrepreneurial. You know what the kicker was? They let him live rent-free, drive my dad's old Charger, and somehow I was the one they said was emotionally distant. WTF. Last year, I finally made it. After years of grinding, I got hired full-time as a software engineer in Austin, bought a condo, paid off my student loans. I even helped out sent my parents money when their shop had slow months. Nothing big, like a few hundred here and there, but still, I thought it mattered. It didn't. Because 6 months ago, I applied for a mortgage upgrade and got denied. I thought it was a glitch, but nope, my credit was torched. I pull the report and there it is, a $45,000 personal loan taken out at some second-tier credit union under my name. I never signed a damn thing. I was shaking when I called my mom. She picked up like nothing was wrong. Me? Hey. Did you or Dad take out a loan in my name? Her. Oh, honey, we were going to tell you. Me. You did what? Her, it was just temporary. Dylan needed a little help getting his media business off the ground. He said you'd be okay with it. I hung up. I couldn't breathe. They stole my name, my identity. For what? So Dylan could buy drone cameras and blow money on ad spend for Instagram Reels that got 93 views. I didn't scream. I didn't even call back. I drove straight to Houston that weekend and showed up at the house. They were sitting at the kitchen table like it was any other day, sipping coffee, scrolling Facebook, telling the dog to get off the couch. My dad tried to pull that fake innocent routine. Him. Let's not blow this out of proportion. Chris? Me. You forged my signature. Dad. You always said family's supposed to support each other. Me. That doesn't mean robbing me blind so Dylan can LARP as Gary V. I looked Dylan in the eye. He didn't even flinch. Just sipped his overpriced energy drink and said, Bro, I'm gonna pay it back. You got a good job. It's not like you're struggling. I saw red. I left before I did something I'd regret. I swear my hands were shaking on the steering wheel the whole way back to Austin. Rage. Betrayal. Disappointment all crashing together like a wave I'd been holding back for years. Here's the worst part, I wasn't surprised. They've been doing this in different forms my entire life. Taking from me time, energy, credit, and handing it to Dylan like he's the one who deserves it just for existing. Only difference now, this time, I wasn't going to pretend it was okay. This time, I wasn't going to clean up their mess. I wasn't going to be the fallback plan. And I sure as hell wasn't going to let them get away with it. The Monday after that mess, I sat in my car in the office parking lot and just stared at the steering wheel. I'd barely slept. My inbox was full. My brain was mush. And all I could hear was my brother's voice saying, "You got a good job. It's not like you're struggling." The audacity. I don't think I even logged in that day. I spent most of the morning Googling, "Can you sue your parents for identity theft?" and then called a friend from college. He's a lawyer now. Corporate litigation. Not exactly his field, but he had enough sense to say, Chris, that's fraud. Straight up. You could press charges." That's when it really hit. Like, this wasn't just betrayal. It was illegal. This could ruin everything I'd worked for. I wanted to throw up. That night, I sat in my condo with a bottle of whiskey I hadn't opened in months, staring at the credit report, the loan statements, the email from the bank confirming the application. Everything tied back to my parents' address, Dylan's email, and my forged signature. I remember whispering out loud to no one, "What kind of parents do this to their kid?" It wasn't even rage anymore. It was grief. Like something had died. Whatever image I had of being part of a family gone, whatever part of me still wanted to believe they'd come around done. I emailed my friend back, told him I wanted to move forward. "Cool," he said. "We'll start with a cease and desist. Then we'll hit them with a demand letter. If they don't cooperate, we escalate." 2 weeks passed. Silence. I didn't call them. Didn't return texts. I went full ghost. Part of me wondered if they even noticed. I figured they were still too busy playing PR for Dylan's brand launch, which, by the way, was a disaster. Don't take my word for it. My cousin Sam, who still lives in Houston and does freelance videography, texted me randomly. "Yo, not sure if you've heard, but Dylan's studio got shut down. Didn't pay the lease. Clients walked. He's blaming haters and the algorithm." I laughed. Bitter, but honest. They nuked my credit for this clown. For a 32-year-old man who still thinks he's gonna go viral for filming himself, giving life advice in front of a rented Tesla. Nah, I was done being the fallback plan. Let them live with the consequences. Then the letters hit. My lawyer sent them certified mail. Cease and desist for fraud. Demand to remove the loan and restore my credit. 30 days to respond or we press charges. 3 days later, my phone blew up. First voicemail, mom crying. Second, dad fuming. Third, Dylan, drunk maybe, ranting about tearing the family apart over paperwork. 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 No. This wasn't just paperwork. This was my name, my future, my damn integrity. And they torched it because they thought I'd never push back. WTF kind of logic is that? The week after, they showed up at my place. Unannounced. I opened the door in sweats. Headphones still on, mid-Zoom meeting. There they were. Mom holding a Tupperware of food like this was just another visit. Dad with that tight jaw thing he does when he's pretending he's not pissed. I didn't let them in. Me, say what you need to say from there. Dad, Chris, come on. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Me, you stole my identity. Mom, we didn't steal. We borrowed. We thought me. You forged my name. Mom, but you've always helped before me. Not like this. Not with lies. They kept trying to spin it. We were desperate. We thought you'd understand. Dylan needed a chance. I said nothing, just stared. Finally, my dad snapped. Him. You're really gonna sue your own parents after everything we've done for you? I laughed. Not even bitter, just exhausted. After everything I've done for you. You don't get to play the victim now. Then I shut the door. Didn't slam it, just closed it. Quiet. Final. 2 days later, my aunt called. The one who always posts Facebook memes about family over everything. She launched into it right away. Your mom is devastated. Your dad says you've betrayed them. What are you trying to prove, that you're better than us? No, I was trying to prove I wasn't a doormat anymore. I told her calmly. They broke the law. They hurt me. They lied. This isn't drama. This is accountability. She hung up. Cool. Fast forward a few weeks. And my lawyer hears back from their side. Suddenly, they've got a lawyer now, probably some buddy from church, and they're begging for a settlement. They don't want this going to court. Too much heat. Too much exposure. Good. I didn't want money. I wanted consequences. So I asked for three things. The loan paid off immediately, in full. A formal notarized apology admitting the forgery. A legally binding agreement that they'll never, ever touch my name or credit again. They tried to bargain, tried to cry, tried to guilt trip. Didn't work. The day they signed the apology, I felt lighter than I'd felt in years. It was just a piece of paper. Sure, but it was the first time they'd ever admitted they'd crossed a line. I didn't call them. Didn't thank them. That wasn't what this was about. I did. However, email Dylan one last time. You did all this to feel important, to be the guy. All you ended up doing was proving I was right to walk away. We're not brothers anymore. Don't contact me again. Blocked him right after. The silence since then. Peaceful. Almost eerie. No voicemails. No drive-bys. No family friends sending concerned texts. Just quiet. I started sleeping better. Eating better. Started volunteering at a local code boot camp for teens. Feels weird. But good, like I'm finally using my skills for something real. Something not about proving myself. Just living. Every once in a while, I think about calling them. But then I remember I was never the son they protected. I was the son they used. And I'm not that guy anymore. 3 months later, I was almost starting to believe it was really over. Life was quiet. I was eating regular meals again. Got promoted to lead engineer at work, apparently. People notice when you're not running on cortisol and family drama. The boot camp I'd been volunteering at asked if I'd consider mentoring full-time. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. For the first time in forever, I wasn't just reacting. I was choosing. And then, she showed up. Not my mom, not Dylan, her. Grandma June. Yup. The one person in the entire family I thought had the sense to stay out of it. She was my dad's mom, tough as nails. 80 years old, drove a truck, always had mints in her purse, and zero time for BS. She knocked on my door at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. No warning, just vibes. Well, you gonna let me in or what? I blinked. I hadn't seen her in over a year. She looked smaller. Still had that same steely stare, though. We sat in the kitchen. I made coffee. She didn't touch it. Your dad's a goddamn fool, she said. Your mom, too. But you already knew that. I waited. She didn't mince words. They didn't tell me what they did, not until after you cut 'em off. Then they played the poor us card like you'd left them homeless. But I dug. Chris? And what I found. She shook her head. I would have sued them, too. That caught me off guard. I'd been bracing for guilt, not solidarity. Then she pulled out a folded envelope. Handed it to me across the table. Inside was a photocopy of a second loan application. Same credit union, different amount. $18,000. Also in my name. Also forged. They tried it again, she said. After you cut 'em off. Got denied this time. My whole body went cold. They didn't just screw me over once. They tried to do it again even after everything. What the actual hell? I don't remember exactly what I said. I think I just stared at the paper for a while. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From some mix of exhaustion and heartbreak that I didn't even know was still in me. They didn't even stop, I said quietly. They never planned to. She nodded. Your dad said something like, he'll come around, he always does. That's when I realized they never saw you as a person, just a backup generator. Jesus. A backup generator? She stayed another hour. Told me stories I'd never heard about how, even when I was a kid, my parents would hand Dylan all the attention and just expect me to be fine. You were 5 years old doing your own laundry, she said. Your mom called it independence. I called it neglect. After she left, I sat on the floor for a long time. No music, no distractions, just me and the quiet hum of the fridge. I thought I was done grieving. I thought cutting ties was closure. But this reopened everything. Not because it surprised me, but because it confirmed every fear I'd been gaslit into ignoring. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish. I was right. The next morning, I filed a police report. It felt surreal sitting in a station lobby, explaining to some 22-year-old officer with a buzz cut that my parents had tried to defraud me twice. He took it seriously. To his credit, said the denial from the bank helped, said my lawyer would have more options now. I wasn't looking for revenge, I just wanted to be untouchable. Legally, emotionally, spiritually. Done. That week, I got another text. From Dylan. Yeah. Blocked number, new SIM, I guess. Read. You happy now? You broke mom. She's not eating. She's crying every day. Hope it was worth it. No apology, no accountability. Just more emotional blackmail. I didn't reply. I just added the number to the block list. Then I took a breath and opened my laptop. I wrote a post on LinkedIn not naming names, but telling the story in broad strokes. Sometimes the people who raised you only know how to use you. Sometimes you have to walk away to become who you were always meant to be. The response, insane. DMs from strangers telling me they'd been through the same thing. People offering job referrals, podcast invites, speaking gigs. Apparently, family betrayal with a side of credit fraud is more common than I thought. One night, about 2 weeks later, I got dinner with Sam, my cousin, the videographer. He hadn't picked a side, just stayed out of it, but always checked in. We were at a taco truck near campus. He handed me a beer and said, "You know, they're selling the house." I looked up. What? Yeah. Can't afford the payments anymore. Business is flatlining too. Dylan burned through the last of their savings trying to shoot a docuseries on the rise of modern masculinity. It's bad. I snorted. I couldn't help it. What's next? A crypto coin called Dylan Coin. Too late. Already tried that. We both laughed. But then I stopped. Because underneath the joke, I felt nothing. No pity. No joy. Just clean detachment. They made their choices. Now they get to live with them. Before we left, Sam said something that stuck with me. I think what pisses them off most isn't the money. It's that you didn't beg to stay. He was right. I didn't beg. I didn't explain. I just walked away and kept walking. And that, more than anything, was unforgivable to people who needed me weak to stay powerful. 6 months out. And I hadn't heard a single word from my parents. No calls. No emails. No mysterious "we miss you" cards with passive-aggressive Bible verses. Nothing. It was weirdly peaceful, and a little sad, if I'm being honest, but mostly peaceful. By then, I'd fully paid off my car, joined a climbing gym, started eating things that weren't frozen dumplings or cereal. My place finally looked lived in: plants, shelves, furniture I actually picked for myself. It felt like breathing for the first time in years. Then one afternoon, I was sitting at the boot camp, the same one I started volunteering at, when Noah walked in. 13. Hoodie too big. Didn't make eye contact. You could tell right away he was one of those kids who'd been through some shit. Didn't say much the first 2 weeks. Just nodded, typed, deleted, retyped. But I saw the way he focused. The way he checked his code 5 times before raising his hand. Reminded me of me. We ended up working together a lot. And one night, after everyone left, I found him still sitting there, staring at the screen. "What's up?" I asked. "Nothing." "Cool. You want to tell me what nothing looks like so I can recognize it next time?" He gave me this half smile, quiet, but real. Then he said it. "My mom said I don't have to come back if I don't want to. She thinks coding's for nerds." I laughed, not at him. Just, man, been there. We talked for like 30 minutes. About dumb stuff. Sci-fi movies. Xbox. TikTok drama. I didn't push. Just sat with him. But when he left, I couldn't shake it. Something about that moment stuck with me. The next week, I talked to the program director. "I want to sponsor someone." I said, "Like financially, yeah, but also time, mentorship, whatever." She blinked. "You serious? Dead serious." So I did. Not just Noah, 2 other kids too. Didn't make a big deal about it. No announcements. No look at me giving back crap. I just showed up. Every week. Answered every question. Corrected typos. Reviewed portfolios. Helped one of them prep for a college interview. It felt grounding. Like all the bullshit from before hadn't been for nothing. One night, Noah's mom showed up after class. She looked tired, like life had chewed her up and spit her out 3 times over. But she came over, pulled me aside. I just wanted to say thanks. He talks about you a lot, says you're the only adult who listens without making him feel stupid. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. A month later, I found myself back in Houston. Not to visit anyone, hell no, but because the company was opening a new branch nearby and they asked if I wanted to help set up infrastructure. 3-day trip, all business. But something about being back there, walking past streets I used to bike on, seeing the old 7-Eleven where I bought my first soda with my own money, it hit me in the throat. The house sold. The auto shop closed. Dylan, according to Sam, he bailed to LA last month, still chasing whatever delusion he was calling the next big thing. I didn't ask for details. Didn't care. I stood outside the shop one morning before heading to the office. The windows were covered in brown paper. For lease sign crooked. Dust on the sidewalk. Like no one had touched the place in months. And you know what? I didn't feel angry or vindicated. Just still. Like I could finally stop carrying the weight of trying to prove something to people who never deserved my effort in the first place. Back in Austin, things kept moving. My team at work expanded. I was now managing junior engineers, something I swore I'd never do, but secretly I loved it. Watching someone grow. Knowing you had a hand in it, it's a trip. Noah got accepted into a pre-college summer tech program. I wrote him a recommendation. Might have cried a little. Not sorry. Sam came to visit once. We got tacos again. He was the only one from the old life I still talked to. Everyone else gone, and I was okay with that. Then, one Friday evening, I came home to a small envelope taped to my door. No name, no return address, just 3 words scribbled on the back. I'm sorry, Mom. I stared at it for a long time, thought about throwing it away, but I didn't. I opened it. Inside was a single handwritten note. I know we don't deserve your forgiveness. I know we lost you, but not a day goes by that I don't think about the son we pushed away. I'm sorry. I was scared, and weak, and wrong. Mom, no excuses. No, but Dylan, just regret. And that made it worse, honestly, because it was too late. I didn't reply. Not out of spite, but because there was nothing else to say. They'd made their choices, and now I was making mine. The cycle ends here. Sometimes I still wake up expecting a call from some cousin or old neighbor trying to drag me back in, but they don't call. Maybe they finally get it, or maybe they're too ashamed. Either way, it's quiet, and that's good enough for me. 2 weeks after I found the letter, I was on my balcony at 1 a.m., sipping lukewarm coffee and staring at the city skyline like I was waiting for something to happen. It didn't. I kept rereading that note from my mom, not because I wanted to forgive her, I wasn't there yet, not even close, but because it was the first time she hadn't tried to spin things, just raw regret. No manipulation. It made me feel something I hadn't expected. Lonely. Not the kind you fix with a night out or a Tinder date. The kind that sits in your ribs and hums. That quiet ache of, I don't belong anywhere right now. Yeah, that kind. A few days later, Noah invited me to his school's showcase. He was presenting a basic game he built in Python, nothing fancy. But it had levels and working audio and an intro screen that said, dedicated to C. The first person who believed I could do this. I swear to God, I almost walked out and ugly cried in the parking lot. Instead, I sat through the rest of the presentations, clapped, shook hands with his teacher, and let Noah's mom hug me afterward. She smelled like cigarettes and hand sanitizer, told me they'd started going to therapy, said it helped. She looked me in the eye. You saved him, you know. I shook my head. Nah, he saved himself. I just kept showing up. The next week, something weird happened. One of the boot camp instructors, Megan, the kind who wears combat boots and corrects people with love, pulled me aside after class. Hey, Chris, we're thinking about launching a formal mentorship initiative, paid, structured, with training and support. I think you'd be perfect to help lead it. I blinked. You want me to run it, co-run it, but yeah. Honestly, I was floored. I've spent so much of my life being the dependable background guy, the one you call when things break. The guy who fixes, supports, patches up everyone else's mess. But this was different. This was trust. Built, not expected. I told her I'd think about it. And I did. All week. That weekend, I ran into someone unexpected at the grocery store. Jessica. We hadn't talked since college. She was one of the few people who knew me before I hardened. Before I turned everything into a checklist of survival. She looked exactly the same, warm, quick to smile. A little tired, but in that I have a toddler way. Chris, holy crap. Jess. We hugged. Caught up in the cereal aisle like a couple of sitcom characters. Turned out she lived nearby, worked as a nurse, had a 3-year-old and a divorce under her belt. We exchanged numbers. She texted the next day. Hey, it was good seeing you. Want to grab coffee sometime that doesn't involve canned soup? 1 coffee turned into 3. Then lunch. Then late night walks where we talked about our broken families, our weird coping mechanisms, the times we almost gave up. She didn't push. Didn't ask questions she wasn't ready to hear the answers to. Just held space. She met Noah once when I brought him along to grab burgers after a boot camp event. They got along instantly. He asked if she was my girlfriend. I laughed so hard I choked on a fry. But truthfully, I didn't know what she was yet. What we were, I just knew that for the first time in years, I felt safe with someone. And that scared the hell out of me. Then my birthday came. I wasn't planning anything. Birthdays had always been weird. Either ignored or used by my parents to make themselves look good. I was fine skipping it. But Noah showed up to class that day with a paper crown and a world's best mentor mug. The other kids got cupcakes. Megan brought a card. Even Jess swung by after her shift with a 6-pack and a cupcake with a candle shoved in it. We sat on the curb outside the building, her in scrubs. Me in jeans and a hoodie, and she asked, real quiet, how's your heart doing these days? I stared at the flame on that cupcake. Didn't have a good answer. So I just said, it's healing. Slowly. On its own terms. Later that night, I got another letter. Same handwriting. Still from Mom. But this one was different. Not asking for forgiveness. Not begging. Just telling me what had happened. Dylan's in rehab. Dad's been diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. The house sale didn't cover their debts. They're renting a 1-bedroom in the outskirts now. She said she wasn't writing for pity. She didn't expect me to come back. She just wanted me to know the truth. And then the last line hit me hard. You were always the strong one. I'm sorry we made you carry everything alone. I didn't cry. Didn't reply. But I did sit on my bed for a long time, holding that letter like it weighed more than it did. The next morning, I said yes to the mentorship role. Texted Megan. Signed the paperwork. Bought myself a new notebook. Then I texted Jess. Hey, you free this weekend? I want to talk about what we are. For real this time. She sent back a heart emoji. That was the moment I realized I didn't need my old family to make a new one. I didn't need permission to build something better, stronger, honest.